Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. My name is Professor Rodeblock, and we are going to be going live with another stream tonight. So tonight's stream is going to be really exciting. I will reveal the gameplay here in just a moment, but we have hit our 50 follower goal, and so I sent out the poll multiple times for chat to choose my next class or job in Final Fantasy XIV. It ended up coming down to the wire. However, there is one class that has emerged victorious, and so I will show you guys the results of that poll live here in just a moment. Before we do that, I wanted to shout out new followers to the channel since the last time that we played. So we've got 3 new followers to the channel since Saturday. The first one to be Rashad864. Rashad is also a Twitch streamer. Cootie Giver 1, who is also a Twitch streamer. And then finally, Claudio Sanchez. So thank the 3 of you for following the channel. Hope to catch you here in a stream here soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to the game. I'm going to flip over to the poll. I will show you guys the results of that poll. I will then flip over to that class. Now, spoiler alert, I did look ahead of time, and I wanted to be somewhat prepared about how to play this class, so I have done a little bit of research. That way you don't have to watch me fumble with hotbars for 45 minutes, because that's not exciting content. But I will talk about how the class is played, go through the basic rotation, kind of explain that role in the game, and then we will queue up for a dungeon, see if that can pop while we're playing, and just kind of get some content in. So let me flip over to what should be the poll results. All right, so if you take a look at the screen right now, you should be able to see that coming in at number 1 with 4 votes was Reaper. So Reaper is the new DPS class that was added into the game with the Endwalker expansion last year. You can see that Sage is right behind it with 3 votes. Now here's the thing, Reaper's a damage-based class. Their whole job is to go into the dungeon, beat stuff up. It's a really fun class. DPS is generally a fun role to play. I really like melee DPS. Specifically, I've played classes like Ninja and Dragoon before. But the downside is that DPS classes take forever to get in the dungeons, right? Everybody wants to be the damage dealer. And so if I queue up to join a dungeon, it might take me 5, 10, 15, hopefully not longer than that minutes to get into a dungeon. However, if Sage had won, it's literally insta-pop dungeons. I click find duty, it'll pop me in a dungeon immediately. And the cool thing about Sage is that they have all these laser-based abilities and a dash mechanic and some cool stuff. Now, that being said, Reaper is a cool class. I'm excited to play it. Because it's going to take longer to queue for dungeons, that might make this nice balance between doing story content and then popping a dungeon, story content, popping a dungeon. Because remember, at the end of the night, I am still trying to teach some people how this game works from a community aspect. You know, how do I interact with other players? And so if I'm doing story content all the time, it's not all that exciting. But anyway, Reaper has won, so we're going to be playing probably the edgiest class in Final Fantasy history. It might be debatable. But Dark Knight was the tank class that came out in Heavensward, very kind of edgy and dark and cursed, and Reaper is just that on steroids. So let's flip over to the game here. So I am standing in front of these test dummies because once I switch classes here, I'm going to teach you how Reaper works. So I'm going to go over here. I've already got things prepared, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got Reaper prepared as a class, and there we go. All right. So we are literally a Grim Reaper type character. We've got the tattered trench coat. We've got the scythe. We've got the eye patch. Everything you need to start off as a Reaper in Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm going to explain the basics of this role and the rotation, which means the abilities that I use. That way, if you've never played this game before, have no idea what the heck I'm doing, you at least have some basic understanding. So if you follow my cursor down here, the class has its basic rotation. So slice, waxing slice, infernal slice. So while I'm fighting enemies, I might hit 1, and then 2, and then 3. Most classes have a basic damage rotation like that, but it's not that simple, okay? The Reaper also has an ability called Shadow of Death, and an AoE variant called Whirl of Death. What this does is it applies a debuff on the target, and if I do that, then for the next 30 seconds, they take increased damage. And if I use it a second time, it extends the duration to 60 seconds. Now, a lot of enemies will die fairly quickly. I won't need to put the 60-second timer on them. But for boss fights or more difficult content where the enemies will live for quite a while, this is going to allow me to do more damage. And if the target dies when that ability is on them, then this little gauge is going to fill up a little bit, which allows me to use some cool abilities. Next, I have what's called an AoE rotation. Also pretty simple when you're first starting out. So AoE stands for area of effect. That means if I'm around more than one enemy at a time and I'm trying to hit both of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, or 10 of them, then I can. So for the Reaper, their starting AoE rotation is also pretty simple. So I'm going to use Spinning Scythe, and I'm going to follow that up with Nightmare Scythe. 1, 2, and pretty cool looking. Now, like I said, there's also an AoE version of that debuff, so I can open with hitting this twice. Boom, 1, 2, and that's going to make them take more damage. And then you'll also notice there are some abilities down here that are now highlighted. I've built up enough of my soul gauge or Reaper gauge, whatever it's called, to use those abilities. So these are going to be things that do extra damage and might grant me some other special abilities. So we can see one here called Bloodstock. This is just a kind of a big damaging attack, so I'll do that right here. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Try it again. And that attack opens up both Gibbet and Gallows. These are attacks that do more damage based on where I'm standing in relation to the enemy. So Gibbet does more damage if I'm off to their flank, and Gallows does more damage if I'm directly behind them. So one of the things you'll see Reapers do is they will kind of juggle between standing here and standing here, standing here and standing here as they continue. Now, a couple other abilities that I have at my fingertips. Reapers have this really cool movement mechanic, and it's only going to get cooler as I level up. So right now, off to the side, I have what's called Hell's Ingress and Hell's Egress. This zooms me forward 15 yalms or sends me back 15 yalms. So if I want to close the gap on this enemy, I can target them, and I can click that button, and I've now zoomed right behind them. The other cool thing is once I've done either one of those abilities, I can then instant cast this one called Harp. This is normally a spell that takes 1.3 seconds to cast, but if I use it immediately after dashing, it's instant. Now the cool thing is, as I level up, I'll actually get the ability to cast one of these to zoom in or to zoom out. So let's say I'm attacking, things are getting dicey, so I want to zoom out. I can then cast Harp, and then I'll be able to use the other ability to teleport back. I do not have that in my current repertoire. Okay, but it allows for a lot of cool weaving of your movement. As you've seen from dungeons that I've played, there's a lot of times where orange attacks will get telegraphed or appear on the ground, and I want to dodge those. So I could dodge out of the way, use my spell, and then zoom right back into the action. So that's pretty cool. And for level 70, that's pretty much the basic rotation of the Reaper. Now that's going to get more advanced as I level up, as I unlock different abilities. But you're going to open a fight. So let's say I'm going to open it on just a single target. I'm going to cast Shadow of Death 2 times, which I forgot to melee ability. So 1, 2. Then I'm going to use Soul Slice, which gives me an instant boost in my gauge. Bloodstock. Then either one of these abilities. And then I'm going to use my 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to keep repeating that until I have 50 points again. Once I have 50 points, I can use Bloodstock again. Then I can use one of these abilities again. Okay, that's the single target rotation. For AoE, again, it's pretty much the same. I will just open with Whirl of Death. Then I can do Soul Scythe, which does the same thing as Bloodstock. And then I can do Grim Swath. Then I'm just going to keep rotating, QE, QE, QE. And then this one, that guillotine. So, overall, I'm really pleased that this class was selected. It's a cool one to play. It will result in longer queue times for dungeons, but Reaper is a really flashy class. Square put a lot of love into this one. They have some really cool animations with those colors, the slashes, and they're one of the few classes that have these cool like screen shaking abilities. So on my really big attacks, you might see the screen kind of pivot or shake a little bit. The last thing that I did not mention, I also have an ability right now called Arcane Crest. If I use this, that grants a barrier that nullifies some damage. So if I get into some trouble, I can take that and block a short amount of damage. And that will upgrade itself later. And then all DPS, melee DPS have these things up here. These are abilities that I can use to heal myself, restore health as I attack, reduce damage dealt, stuff like that. So I can use those when I like to while we're fighting. So there is how the Reaper class is played. Thank all of you for voting. I think I had 16 or 17 votes when it all came down to it in the end. And this class is the result. So it should be lots of fun. The other thing that I'm going to do, and I'm still going to do this while playing, is spinning the Wheel of Hats. Now, last Wednesday's stream, I spun that hat, or that Wheel of Hats, probably 8 or 9 times for each of the new followers that I got on my journey to 50. I made a note of where we left off, and I've still got a long way to go. So we're going to continue with a 5-minute rotation on these hats, and we will start by spinning the wheel once and see where that takes us. So let me grab the Wheel of Hats. And I'll give that wheel a spin. I will warn you, the wheel is a little bit loud, and I haven't figured out how to turn that down. At least it's loud on my end. So we'll see here. Now, we've seen most of the hats this time, so there's a pretty good chance that we'll spin it, and it will land on something you've already seen, but that's okay. It's a different day, right? So here we go. Spin the wheel. I will wear that hat for the next 5 minutes. This will be really fun, putting a goofy hat with the edgy Reaper class. Here we go. Oh, you know what? I have to have it on screen, though, don't I? Hold on in just a moment. And I need to hide this. And I need to show the wheel. Come on, wheel. There it is. Let's try that one more time. All right, and give my game just a second to catch up here. We got Pretty Princess. Oh my gosh, that's going to be a good combination with Reaper. All right, you ready? We're going to be the Pretty Reaper Princess. So here we go. I'm going to hide this for just a second so you guys can't see the other hats that have not been selected. And let me find the Pretty Princess hat. All right, here we go. Here it is. So now we've got this pretty little crown right on our heads. This was from an event that I did earlier this year, like a holiday event. I can't remember if it was like Valentine's Day or what it was, but we now have the pretty little princess crown. So I'm gonna go ahead and set a timer on my phone. Hey, we're up to 8 viewers, which is fantastic. Remember, my next goal is that I need a I need an average viewership of 3. So if we're at 8 and we can stay at 8 the whole night, that is going to be huge in reaching that goal. So that is fantastic. Thank you so much. And I promise here that we are going to jump into some fun gameplay now that I spent a couple minutes explaining how this class works. So timer's going. We're going to be a Pretty Princess Reaper for the next 5 minutes. We are also going to queue up for a dungeon. Now what I'm going to do here is I am just going to click on leveling. And I'm going to click join. That's going to give me the best chance of getting a dungeon because it will throw me into any dungeon people might do as they're leveling. It's going to give me some bonus XP and seals and things like that. And we may end up joining a high level dungeon. We may end up joining a low level dungeon. If we get into a higher level dungeon, I'll have access to all of these abilities. But for example, if I get thrown into like a level 15 dungeon, I might have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And so it's not the most exciting gameplay, but remember, the reason we're going into the dungeons is that is where we congregate and interact with other players. I'm not doing much talking to other people when I'm hanging out doing main story quest stuff. And main story quest I really enjoy, but for you guys watching, if you're not into Final Fantasy and I'm just quietly narrating or watching the cutscenes, it's not the most engaging content. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of both. While the dungeon queue is popped here and we're waiting for it to go, I will hop over and go through some storyline stuff. And then as soon as the queue pops, we'll go back and play in a dungeon. And then what I've been doing to try and generate interactions with people is making sure that I'm talking in the chat, asking them how their day is going, letting them, just kind of finding ways to engage with other players. If we're out and about in the world, we might, wave at somebody, cheer, dance, whatever it is. Because again, at the heart of this, the reason I chose this game to stream as my first one on the Twitch channel is that this is a model for my class in which we are doing a culture study. So my students are engaging in an online community. They have 6 weeks to collect data, and they are just going to be writing down notes about positive, negative, or other types of player interactions they're having. And Final Fantasy is a great place for such interactions. In fact, let me move far enough away from the target dummies that I'm not in combat anymore, and I will show you guys a real treat in that vein here. Looking back here, I just saw that when I was going through my Reaper demonstration, JJ Colade said Spooky Slash. Oh yeah, Spooky Slashes for days. One of the cool abilities you get later on is you actually get I don't know if it's called a demon form, but you get kind of an avatar that kind of does attacks with you. So let's teleport to probably the most active hub in all of Final Fantasy XIV, which is Lominza. I've been in here before, but I haven't actually spent a lot of time here on stream. We'll see how it's doing on a Monday night. Saturday nights, this place is hopping. Okay, all right. We still got lots going on. So this is one of the major cities that you can spawn in the game, and it's one of the main hubs throughout the first part of Final Fantasy XIV. It's also very common grounds for players to hang out. You'll often see bards that are playing instruments down here. You'll see people showing off their gear and equipment. I thought my character was edgy, but they might have me beat. You'll see people that are dancing, that are just having a general good old time. So, not a whole lot going on here, honestly. I mean, some interesting characters. Look at those wings. No concerts. Ooh, that person has an umbrella. They have an umbrella too. So let's try to see if we can generate an interaction here, right? So, why don't we find someone that we think's cool, looks pretty dope, and let them know that we appreciate their style. Ooh, take a look at this person, level 90 warrior. They are looking absolutely styling. And you know what? You know what's nuts? I've played this game for a couple weeks now. I swear to you, every time that I come to Limsa, this player is in their tux, leaned up against this wall. Now they're AFK, but I swear they are always here. I wonder what's up with that. Alright, so I'm going to message them real quick. Say, sick, glamour, set, love the style. Let's see what they say. While that's going on here, let me flip over here. Awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who's currently sitting here in the chat. We've got a lot of people in here tonight. One of the other goals I need on the channel is I need 5 people interacting in the chat at once. So why don't we go ahead and do this? I'm going to ask a question. You can go ahead and respond to it. If you're not sure how to respond to it, why don't you just throw out like a hey, or respond to how your day's going, something like that. But my question to you guys, with Pokemon around the corner in about a week and a half, what is your favorite Pokemon? What is your favorite Pokemon? And the timer went off, so we need to switch hats here. So I'm also going to, as you guys are telling me your favorite Pokemon, and there is a correct answer, by the way, then I will get the wheel spun for the next time here. Hey, we got a first time chat from Anime saying, I love Ninetales. Wishbee saying Chandelure. Ooh, Chandelure is an excellent choice. Shinx. Ooh, Shinx is good too. Shinx turns into what? Luxray? All right, let's spin that wheel one more time, and then I'll see what else you guys have selected for your favorite Pokemon. And we got Mr. Gill once again, which means we're going to be throwing the monocle back on. Let me get that set up. Whoop! Hold on a second. You aren't supposed to see that. Now let's try that again. All right, so for the next 5 minutes, we are going to be part of the 1%. We've got our monocle on. Get the timer going. Whoop. Let's try that again. All right, let's see. I got a couple in chat. So somebody said Ninetales. Wishbee said Chandelure. We got Shinx, part of the 1%. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I got to say probably my favorite Pokemon of all time. Toss up. I played Pokemon way back in the day with the original first gen, and one of my favorite lines from that was the Sandshrew line. I absolutely love Sandslash, so he's way up there. And then I would say, and I know that this is a meme answer, but I genuinely love the Pokemon. I also love the Mudkip line. I really do. And look at that, our dungeon popped. So now we're gonna be able to go through and play in a dungeon. We'll see what level we are here, because low-level gameplay for a Reaper is really boring, but that's okay. Oh, we actually got a pretty high-level dungeon. This is a Heaven's Ward dungeon. So it said, hey everybody, first time as Reaper, please be patient with me, looking forward to it. I can't remember exactly what level we're gonna be in this dungeon, but it's gonna be 50 plus, probably 60 plus. No, it'd be 50 plus. 58. All right, that's gonna give us a healthy exercise in this. Do the spooky slice early enough. Hey, look, they're calling it the spooky slice too. All right, here we go. We're gonna dash in. Oh, they're gonna do big pulls. Oh yes, this is gonna be fun for you guys to watch. So they're gonna keep running. Oh, maybe not. They're gonna stop here. I thought they were gonna keep running. All right, so we're gonna cast our ability. We're gonna spin around with the spooky slashes. All right. I'm doing something wrong here. I goofed up something in that rotation. I also will not change headgears in the middle of a dungeon just because I don't want to put my party at disadvantage for anything. So, all right, let's try this again. Q. Oh, that's what I was doing wrong. Q again. Oh, I don't have access to my E ability. That's why. There we go. Look at those abilities. Spooky Slash. The music's even kind of fitting for a Reaper. All right, let's go. And now there's only one target left, so we're going to switch to our single damage abilities. If any of you guys are playing the story of Final Fantasy XIV and you care about spoilers, I'm going to skip the cutscenes in this dungeon, but you may not want to watch some of the boss fights. Now, those people that you're going to see will mean nothing to you now, but 100 hours from now, you're going to be like, oh no, I know what's coming. One of the things you guys also might notice as well is I spent a little bit of time this evening updating the About Me section on my Twitch page. I was able to create these fun little buttons on Canva. and updated some of the rules and the questions and things like that. So if you have some feedback on those, that'd be cool. And then on Saturday's stream, I also used one of the Streamlabs free like animated intros. So it's a pretty short loop, but give me some feedback on that if you happen to catch it at the beginning of the stream. If you liked it, if you have anything that you want me to change. Oh, we're in the middle of the first boss fight, by the way. Now, one of the things you generally do as a DPS, especially a melee DPS, is you stand at the flank or rear of the boss. The tank generally has the boss facing them. And so if you are behind the boss, then you're going to be generally safe. And if you have positional abilities, then you are going to be doing a little bit more damage. Now, it looks like... Uh-oh. I do not remember how this mechanic works. I think we're trying to dodge the circles. I don't have any of my positional abilities unlocked yet. Oh, we're going to keep the monocle on. And we have a free cast of this ability. Boss is at half HP. We're going to slow the boss down just a little. And if he turns to look at me, I can pop this shield, too. That's not looking at me. It's looking at our healer, I think. Well, in this case, we just kind of want to stay out of the way. And that boss got melted quick. All right, let's go. Maybe? Complimented the tank and the healer on the job they're doing. I guess I left the other damage dealer out. Oops. But again, I'm trying to drum up those interactions, and these players are doing a fantastic job. I don't think either of them are new to this dungeon. All right. Spooky Slash. Looks so cool. All right, let's keep going. I was just about to say, I think these statues come to life. There it is. So, we're gonna position ourselves this way to hit them both. And then, since there's only two of them, we're just gonna focus on the one. A lot of the times your damage, your like area damage abilities are better when there's 3 or more. And sometimes when there's 2, it's more damaging to do your individual ones. Hey, we got a new follower to the channel, BigAng15. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. We are just playing some Final Fantasy XIV here. Chat got to choose my new class. I was previously playing a tank as Gunbreaker. And as you can probably see, they switched me over to Reaper DPS. So we're just in the middle of a leveling dungeon to go back and test the class out. Thanks for joining the channel. We were also having a conversation about what our favorite Pokemon is in here with Scarlet and Violet right around the corner. Heard votes for Chandelure, we've heard votes for Shinx, we've heard votes for Ninetales. My vote was for Sandslash. So again, when you're going through a dungeon as a DPS, a lot of people feel that, they're right, that there's less pressure on damage dealers because their main job is just to burst the boss down as quickly as possible and kill everything, right? So they don't have to worry about keeping the enemy's attention. They don't have to worry about healing teammates that get low, but they do still have to dodge abilities that can affect them. They might still have to do other mechanics during the fight, like killing additional enemies that spawn or dodging attacks like these. And bottom line for the difficult fights, if your damage dealers aren't doing enough damage to the boss or playing efficiently, you're gonna lose. So while it may not be or may not feel as vital or essential as some of the other roles, your DPS jobs are still very, very important. And I think the fact that your healer and your tank are supposed to be doing as much damage as they can when they're not doing their specific role, it's kind of testament to that. I think we want to be far away. Oh, maybe not, maybe not. I might die here. Yep. I did not remember that mechanic. I ran away towards that awful, terrible portal, and then I got stuck over there and died. So I think what the key was there was that was a knockback mechanic. And I would have been fine if I went anywhere other than where that portal opened up. But I ran directly into it. Oh, I wasted that heal. I didn't need it. Okay, let's get out of the way there. So cast ranged ability while we're at distance. Okay, all right. That time I did not get sucked into it. See, there we go. I almost did. Can we target that? We cannot. So we just need to avoid it. Boss is almost dead. Here we go. Hold the healer. Sorry about dying. Thanks for the quick res. Oh, so I need to chill, right? One of the things that you don't want to do as a DPS is if you notice that your tank is gathering up enemies, do not start wailing on them while they're trying to move. Because if I do a sufficient amount of damage, I might pull that enemy off the tank and onto me and complicate the entire process. So even though you want to kill stuff, you need to wait until your tank gathers them up like this. Now these targets hit really hard. Our tank got a little bit low there, but our healer's also doing a fantastic job. And I need to be doing my TP or my AoE rotation. I keep doing my single target. You'll also notice oftentimes there are these orange lines on the floor, or some of the bosses had those red lines. Those are all what they call a telegraphed attack. That shows where the enemy's next ability is going to land. You generally want to move out of those areas on the floor because that will limit the amount of damage that you take. That's another really important thing as a DPS, which again, DPS stands for damage per second or damage. Because if I am just sitting there taking those hits, then the healer's gonna have to waste time and resources healing me for damage that I could have prevented, when they may need to focus their attention on the tank or the enemies or other more important matters that if I was doing my job correctly, they wouldn't have had to worry about. So we're here to do our job without adding any undue, unnecessary stress on healer or the rest of the party. Here we go. Statues, we got more wake. Oh, they're turning into gargoyles. Cool, fantastic. If I remember right, there's a weird gimmick with these guys, but I don't remember what it is, so we're just gonna wail on them and hope that there's nothing goofy. Last time I did this dungeon, I was a tank. Oh, maybe it's just killing them. Yeah, it seems fairly simple. Alright. We're almost there. The last boss in this dungeon, which we're coming up to, I think right here, yep, is actually a really fun fight. I'm going to skip the cutscene. I've seen it already. Don't want to spoil anything. Okay, we're going to move in. We're going to do our ability. We're going to cast our debuff on them twice. Hey, LJ Wolf, welcome to the channel. Thank you. I think I know who that is. All right, we need to stay out of these circles. Our job, again, is to not add any unnecessary stress onto our healer. We're going to do damage to the boss without taking a ton of damage in return. Okay, we're also looking for... So these are enemies that spawn in. We simply want to stand out of their way. We can't damage them or do anything to them, so we need to make sure when they march through the map, we're not standing in their way. We're going to zoom the camera way out too so we can see everything. All right. Do not remember what happens in this phase. I think this time we actually want to... Oh, we want to take out the flames. So this is a DPS check. We got to burn down all the flames while dodging the attacks. Okay, that one's gone. Hit this one. That one's gone. That was good. That one's just about gone. There it is. Take this one out, and let's go for it. Excellent. So he's going to do another big attack. Hey! Paul Guy 8282, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. We are in the middle of a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. This is a lower level leveling dungeon, but I just wanted to test out the new class that chat chose for me, and so we went in to test the waters here. Okay, let's move. Now we're layering mechanics on top of each other, the flames and the statues. And it's going to stay that way for most of the rest of the fight. Okay, me and their other character are also chained. I think I waited way too long on that. That was my fault. And the healer died. I screwed up. The way that chain works is once we both have it, we have to split between the boss and hit the boss with the chain. And I didn't pick up on that until too late. Now, if the tank dies, we might be able to finish this off. We're gonna pop pretty much everything we have and try to kill it. Let's go. Okay, we gotta dodge that. Come on. Oh, I think we did it. Hey, look at that. That was close. Hey, yeah, of course. I'm glad I got to see you today. Andrew said you'd be coming by, so I wanted to make sure we stuck around. All right, we're going to throw a commendation to our healer. Sorry on the chain, but glad we made it anyway. And I do not need any of this loot, so let's pass it before the other people leave, because otherwise it's going to dump it all on me, and it's all low-level gear that I do not care for. Let's get out of here. Hey, we are up to a milestone. We're up to double-digit viewers now. Let's keep the train rolling. Again, one of the things I need on Twitch, not only do I need 3 average viewers, which, man, this is blowing that out of the water, I also need 5 concurrent chatters. So earlier, again, we've got a couple new people since I asked the question before. We've been talking about our favorite Pokemon. So if you have a favorite Pokemon, go ahead and shout it out there in the chat. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to queue up for another dungeon. And then I am going to continue the main story just a little bit. Because it'll find the dungeon for us in the background while we are going through here. Snorlax. Snorlax is a great choice, Jack Jan. I absolutely love Snorlax. Not only is he a fun Pokemon, but he's also a good Pokemon. You still see Snorlax to this day used in a lot of competitive setups. Snorlax is fantastic. I saw a meme the other day that said it only took Snorlax 18 years to stand up. And it's because if you look at his sprites or animations from the Pokemon games throughout the years, he starts as like laying down, completely sleeping, and then like leaning up, and then sitting up, and then in the most recent games, Sword and Shield, he's actually up moving around. I thought that was pretty good. All right, so again, kind of a downtime right now. We just finished the dungeon testing out Reaper as a class, so we're gonna go and attempt to continue the main storyline. Again, I haven't seen the story. The story in Final Fantasy XIV is really good. I just heard a beep in the game, and I don't know what the heck that was. I don't think that was Twitch. I think that was the game. Anyway, sorry, I got side railed there. I'm going to go ahead and let the cutscenes play out. If there's voice acting, I'm gonna let it go. If there's not, I'll read over it. Because again, the storyline in this game is amazing. Obviously, there won't be a whole lot of context for you guys coming in, but the short version is there's a rebellion that we're trying to get going in this region, where the people of this area are trying to push off the main villains of the game. And we are trying to fire them up and get them excited and feeling like they can do that. All right, we're almost to Conrad, who's who we have to talk to. All right, see you back so soon. Nice. Marshall and his men showed up. If the gods are good, there will be no one left to fight. All right, here we go. We got a cutscene playing. I know you're not one for waiting, but if you'll bear with us. Commander Kemp, Marshal Tarupin reports the sweep of the Castellum's interior has been completed. So it's finally over, eh? Pray extend to him my deepest thanks. It's official then. Castellum Velladina is well and truly ours, and mayhaps this calls for... Wait, where's Minago? She took her burden and flew off towards the Peering Stones, the village of the M tribe, where she was born. I doubt that the Imperials who fled Velodina had a mind to give them trouble on their way back east, but she was nevertheless worried, so I gave her leave to go and see that her people were safe. Though I pray you're right, 'twould be best if Minago were not alone if she should encounter the enemy. So they could just send me there. Oh, I gotta switch hats again! Agreed, let's all go to the Peering Stones and make sure that everything is alright. As soon as this cutscene's over, I'll switch hats again. We are still going through the Wheel of Hats. I'll explain that in a second if you're new. If that is your wish, I have no objection. Just let the guard know when you wish to cross. So, I think that cutscene's over. I was running a follower goal until I hit 50 followers. And everybody up to that point would earn a spin on the Wheel of Hats. So I collected a bunch of goofy hats in Final Fantasy XIV. I've been wearing each of them for 5 minutes at a time. There's still a couple of hats on the wheel that have not appeared, even though we've done this for 2 nights now. So let me go ahead and pull up the wheel. You guys should be able to see that glorious red and white wheel in just a second. Oh, and we got a dungeon going too. We got a lot going on. Eevee or Psyduck? I'm a big fan of Eevee, just because of all the different evolutions that it can go into, and my daughters absolutely love Eevee. So actually, hold on, people. Let's do this real quick. We're gonna go back full screen. We're gonna go into the dungeon. We'll come back to the wheel hats in a second. But yeah, I definitely think Eevee, specifically in terms of evolutions. In the original game, I really liked Vaporeon. I like water types in general. And then when it came to later generations, I really like, and I know this is a common answer, but I really like Umbreon. I think Umbreon's really cool. And I think it's about time we got another evolution. I think the last one we got was Sylveon back in X and Y. All right, this dungeon's pretty cool. There's a couple mechanics in here that I'll explain when we get there. And I'm gonna explain something else here in just a second. Let's see. So when the players have these little green and red icons around their text, those are chat icons or shortcuts that will translate to whatever language the player playing uses. So if that person, now this looks like an English speaking player because they have some English text, but if they were in a party with other like Japanese or other language speakers, it would translate the hello and let's have some fun into their home language. So it would communicate hello or let's have some fun in their own tongue, which is really cool. All right. Our tank here did a huge AoE pull, so we are going to do that now. The thing that sucks, I got level synced down to level 37. This is a really low leveling dungeon. That means the only AoE ability I have is Q. So I'm just going to be sitting here pressing Q for pretty much the entire dungeon, which means as long as these mechanics, like the fights, aren't wiping me, then I should be able to interact with you guys. You gotta watch out for these bees. These bees do a move when they're about to die called Final Sting, and that can one-shot even your tank. So you really want to prioritize the bees. Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is classic, man. Bulbasaur is completely respectable. I was a Blastoise person back in the day. I really loved Squirtle. First game I played was Blue. And I'm just a fan of the water types in general, so... I'm not going to go past the tank. Let the tank go first. We're going to focus on the bee. And we're just going to hit Q to win. Like we're playing Reaper in Overwatch. All I do is get into the middle of the enemies and hit Q. Isn't that right, Wishbee? That's right, die, die, die. We're even playing as a Reaper. I'm gonna ask, what's the... Oh, they fought him already. Oh, this is gonna be fun. This boss has a mechanic that I don't remember relating to these platforms, and I've wiped on this one while tanking. So we're just gonna try to pay attention to what's going on and hope that we don't screw up the fight. Might be related to killing these things. I don't know. These bees will also do that crazy Final Sting move that can kill you. Oh, clear the Doom debuff. Okay, I don't even think that... Is that something that I do? Now you can see we have people standing on the plates. Bees! Doom 5. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Yep. I had to go stand on the plate to wipe Doom off myself, didn't I? See, you can see where in the bottom it says, what's the? I was going to say, what's the mechanic with this fight? But they kind of charged in without me. Alright, there's the res. If I get the Doom above my head again, I'll go stand on a plate. I did goof. It wouldn't be a stream if I didn't die or wipe the party. Yeah, when I got the Doom debuff, I needed to go stand on the plate, and I didn't even pay attention to it. Do not want the loot. Sorry, I main tank, so I knew it. You using 2-ply? Always. Charmin Ultra. Gotta be careful. Oh man, just hitting the Q key is so much fun. Okay. Oh, so here's a mechanic. These statues have to die on the plates to open the door. I think this one is technically not on the plate. Yeah. Here we go. Alright, again, there's 2 more of them, so we gotta get 1 on this plate, 1 on that plate. Although, if I remember right, that opens a side door over there that you don't actually have to interact with, so I think the tank's ignoring them. Alright, we're not going to attack those anymore because we don't want their attention. We'll let the tank pull whatever tank's going to pull. There we go. So we're going to crawl over here. Hit Q. We'll put our debuff on them, I suppose. We're going to watch out for the orange. Keep hitting the Q key. So one of the other goals we're going to have coming up for the channel, also Final Fantasy related, you guys have got me to 50 followers, which means that you guys are amazing. You guys got me to 50 followers, which means you got to choose my new class. With my next goal, which I have written on the channel, once I hit affiliate, after getting the viewer count up, I'm going to be able to put in my first sub goal. My first sub goal is going to be a lofty one. It's going to be 10 subs. When I hit 10 subscribers to the channel, once I can start accepting them, then you guys as a channel will get to choose my race in Final Fantasy. Yes, I will let you re-roll my race. And if that means you're going to make me play a Lalafell, then so be it. That's going to be the next goal on the channel. Come to think of it, a Lalafell Reaper would be pretty hilarious. Oh, we need to go after the gemstone. I wasn't targeting the right thing. That's cool. Good job, DPS. You'll notice we're doing our single target rotation because we're just hitting a single enemy right now. It's more efficient. Now his stone is shattered, so we're going to attack him. Yeah, this boss isn't too bad. When's the PS5 giveaway? Join the ankle biters. Yeah. We got to schedule some time for several of us to get online and play through some of those dungeons. I'll gladly queue up with you guys and do some lower level dungeons. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. You can join the ankle biter crew. PS5 giveaway. Look, we got, first of all, PS5's got to be in reliable stock first. Second of all, the only PS5 I have is my own, and I'm not giving that bad boy away. Look at the tank pulling the whole room. All right, let's support the tanks. Easy. We're good to go. Alright, we're gonna focus on this Deathclaw. Okay, we've got another stupid stone face that's gotta go on a platform. Take out the croc first. Hey, look at that. They got him right on the plate, killed him, door opens. That's how you do it. There's also these pedestals and things that will teach you how to solve a puzzle that you can do in here. There's like a scale and a weight and whatever. The solution to the puzzle, if I remember right, is fixed. So it's this. I think it's the same every time you come in. So if somebody hasn't memorized, they're gonna just do it. I'm gonna let somebody else take control of that. If we screw it up, then we lose out on some loot, and I think it spawns a couple more rounds of enemies. And it's right here, actually. Okay, again, let them grab up all the enemies. We're gonna do our debuff. Then we're just gonna spin around a little bit. Do our spooky slashes. The other thing about you guys picking Reaper for me means that I was at level 70 already, and so I didn't lose any levels. I just kind of slid over to another parallel class that's got the same level that I was at, which means that I can keep progressing through the main story, which I kind of appreciate. It means that I don't have to go back and just grind through dungeons to get levels and go back to where I was. So even though I was kind of hoping to get a healer class for instant dungeon queues, being able to continue where my progress was is pretty great too. Let's see. Anything I need to know about this boss? Our tank's been pretty great in terms of being both a good tank and praising us, so that's cool. Again, one of the things that I talked about with Final Fantasy and why I chose this game is there's a lot of positivity in general in the Final Fantasy XIV community. And so if I'm doing a culture study on this game, I want to highlight that positivity as well as trying to speculate on why it's positive. Now, one of the things that I've told my students is that it's because by nature, Final Fantasy is a cooperative game rather than a competitive one. Most of the time, unless you're in PvP, which isn't a big focus in FF14, you're working together towards the same goal. And so since you're all working cooperatively, you're going to be tend to be more positive. Now, that being said, if, you know, if I'm in a dungeon and I keep causing our party to die, then, you know, that's on me. Hey, get it, Nate Dogg. Hey, West Delaware in the house. How's it going, Christian? I was just talking to my students today about streaming for the event. We're getting excited about it. I'll be in on the meeting you guys have Wednesday night to talk more about getting us ready. Ooh, dodge the laser beams. So, if we were playing this fight the true way, then my job as DPS would have been to go around and get rid of those like shepherd hook looking things, because that's what causes the lasers to spawn. But they were like, nah, let's just beat the boss up and dodge the lasers. All right, I'm actually going to give a commendation. Oh, I can't. We'll do the healer. I was going to give a commendation to the tank, because the tank was killing that. Taking in some quality content. We're getting super excited for the finals, of course, man. It's going to be awesome. So I should have a total of 6 students that day. I've got 3 that are locked in already. I'm going to keep selling it to some other ones. Yeah, and we'll talk more details on Wednesday. We won't talk about all of it here, but I'm really excited to help you guys and be down there. Let's see. Pause for a moment. We need to spin the wheel of hats, okay? We were going to do it before the dungeon, and then the dungeon popped. So say goodbye to the monocle. Maybe. We're going to flip over to the intermission screen so we can see the wheel. And then I will go ahead and give that sucker a spin. If I could open the right Chrome tab. There we go. So, are we gonna get something we haven't seen yet? That slightly landed in red, which is setting sail. This was the first hat we actually got when we spun the wheel. But we'll go ahead and put it on, because it's gonna look hilarious with the Reaper. So, let me go ahead and click be right back so you guys can't see some of the hidden hats that haven't popped up yet. And we are going to cast a glamour on this hat. Where is it at? Nope, nope, nope. Come on. For real, where are you at? There it is. All right, here we go. We are now this brooding, dark, demon-working figure with just the most adorable little hat there. So, for the next 5 minutes, we're going to be a Reaper with the sailor hat. So, again, this was a follower incentive. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. That hat comes to us courtesy of... Let me see which follower snagged us that spin. That would have been from... Man, we're quite a ways back. That would have been from Timmy. So thank you, Sailor, for the hat. So let's go ahead and queue up for the next dungeon. It says it's gonna take us about 5 minutes. We'll see. DPS takes a while. And we're gonna keep progressing through the story. Across the bridge. We're definitely gonna cross the bridge. Hey, Christian, we were talking about our favorite Pokemon in here. What's your favorite Pokemon? You gotta have one. You're my age. You played Pokemon. I know it. I like this music. Yeah, I know, no pressure, right? There's only like 900 of them now. Actually, this game, Scarlet Violet probably pushes that number up over 1,000 now, finally. Which is just mind-blowing. I don't know if you guys know this quick history lesson on Pokemon. They did the first game, right? Runaway hit. They decided we'll do the second game, Silver Gold, as kind of like the send-off for Pokemon, and that was going to be it. So it was just going to be Red, Blue, and then Gold, Silver, and well, now we're up to Gen 9. But when you are literally the largest entertainment brand on planet Earth and you are literally printing money even though you're making the same game for the last 20 years, I mean, it's kind of hard to turn that away. I'm hoping that Scarlet and Violet are good. I do have some serious doubts and reservations about that. I did not like Sword and Shield at all. And I wasn't hating on it for the graphics and all the other stupid reasons that some people got their up in arms. I did think that cutting the Pokédex was kind of a bummer, but I understood where they were coming from. That being said, they told us that the Pokédex was getting trimmed down because they were doing all new unique animations. And then we dug into the data and found out that was a bunch of BS, and they were using a lot of the models and animations from previous gens from Sun and Moon. So that wasn't cool. And then a lot of the animations they spent so much time on were literally nothing. So that's one of my gripes. And I did like the stadium battles. I thought that was dope. But the overworld was terrible. There was like hardly any like dungeon areas, and I don't know. And again, and I know that they're made for kids, but the games were that game in particular was just incredibly easy, too easy.
You've come.
Voice cutscene. I'll shut up.
Welcome, friends, to my village, my home.
You guys have 2 minutes to talk. I got a new hat to switch into in 2 minutes.
Good, all things considered. Better than the Enanta at any rate. They've sent an emissary. I'll take you to her.
Do that. When talking about the sub goal and you guys being able to choose my next race, the race that Monago is, these cat girl type people, that's an option. Obviously human, like the human race, it's called Here, is an option. This snake lady is not an option.
It began with a quarrel between the Imperials and the Kaliana.
The Elizan race, this elfin race, is an option.
Tribe, the strongest and the most influential. Unlike the Vera, they want no part of our troubles. They swore fealty to the Empire and were content to remain within their borders.
Just so, the Kaliana forsook their pride in the fight and yielded to Garlemald long ago.
We'll see if the dungeon pops while we're in the middle of a cutscene. These cutscenes can be a little bit lengthy, and if the dungeon pops, I have to restart the cutscene.
She demanded the Kaliana surrender a hostage, this butcher.
Fordola. It doesn't make sense, though. The Vera are the ones working with the Resistance. Why would she threaten the Kaliana?
Had to look up names. I like the ghost type, so guessing Gengar. Dude, Gengar is a solid option. I have a really funny story with Gengar. I was super into Pokemon Go when it first came out. Funny story, Pokemon Go came out while I was on honeymoon with my wife. And so I got super into playing Pokemon Go while we were in South Dakota at Mount Rushmore. And then that summer, we lived in Grinnell at the time, we went to Walmart, and I decided to pull out my phone while I was in the Walmart parking lot, and a Gengar spawned, and I had no Pokeballs to catch it. So that was the only time that I ever considered like pulling out my wallet and buying Pokeballs, but I did not. So that I let that Gengar go. I did eventually catch several Gengar, so I have them, but yeah, I will never forget the day that Gengar got away from me.
Because she is ignorant like all Imperials, she knows.
Gengar's a really solid choice, though. He's, even to this day, I think he's one of the coolest ghost types in the game. Yeah, that is how you get in trouble. I've only ever spent money on Pokemon Go when I've gotten gift cards.
For sure was that the resistance would come from the
and I have gone to Pokemon Go Fest. I do it once or twice?
She would be trapped.
I've done it twice. I did one in 2018 where we went to Chicago with a buddy of mine, and that was a blast. Probably the most steps I've ever walked in a single day. And then a couple years after that, we did like the remote Go Fest in, I think that must have been 2020. But it was a ton of fun. Got to get some regional exclusive Pokemon, tons and tons of people. They had these like habitats that were set up in the park, like an ice habitat and a jungle habitat, and you can actually walk around them, and like those types spawned there. So I don't know. You know what? I've been talking about Pokemon, and I think something actually serious is happening in the story, so I'm gonna shut up for a second.
Long days and nights she looked out on the Black Bridge weeping for her child. Until you came. The broodmother knew at once which way the winds would blow. She and her warriors met with the fleeing Imperials in the road and demanded that her daughter be returned.
Oh, the dungeon is popping.
Bad idea.
Okay, we're gonna. Oh no.
You know her well.
Oh no, choices.
The butcher turned her blade to Anamika, but the
Do we mash through the cutscene or do we skip through it later? We're gonna skip the cutscene. Oh, that feels bad. My wife and I played when it came out because we would go for walks trying to get her to go until. Oh wow, yeah. You know, the cool thing about Pokemon Go is that a lot of people have used it to bond with somebody in their life who's not traditionally a gamer, or even is a gamer, but it's a game that like anybody can get into. This is a super low level dungeon. I'm gonna have like 2 abilities I can use. And we also used Pokemon Go in one of my classes that I just taught. So in Intro to Game Studies, we talked about the idea of... We talked about games as discovery. So we talked about the theme of discovery and how designers develop games with discovery in mind. And so one of the options my students had was to play Pokemon Go, which I thought was a fantastic example of discovery, just because of the loop of going out into the world, finding Pokestops, finding Pokemon you haven't caught before, that kind of thing. So, oh man, guys, this is gonna be like the most painful dungeon view ever. Like the dungeon's kind of fun to watch, sure, but okay, it synced me to level 20, right? So in my entire tool set, I have 1 and 2, so I don't even have my full 1, 2, 3 attack rotation. I have no AoE abilities at all, so I can only hit 1 target at a time. So all I can really do is 1 and 2, and then cast my debuff. I don't know if you guys can see what the chat's saying in the game, but our DPS, our other damage dealer, has got a foot cramp. I don't know why they decided they needed to say that in chat, but it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, I've got 1 and I've got 2 and I've got my damage debuff. And I guess I have my teleport, which is kind of fun, but yeah. Now this dungeon does have a couple of cool mechanics. When we get to some of the encounters here, I'll talk about those. But yeah, Pokemon Go is a good time. I was able to get, like Laura and I played Pokemon Go together for quite a bit. And it was for us to get out and walk and get some exercise. And I played Pokemon Go a fair amount during like shutdown during COVID. Spent a lot of time going on walks, going to the park, and so it was always a good opportunity to pull out the phone and catch some Pokemon. Okay, party. I have my scythe and my little sailor hat. These fools are cruising for a bruising. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Fat fingered on the keyboard. I screwed that up too. But yeah, we talked all about the idea of games doing discovery, so I let my students choose Pokemon Go as one of those examples. And obviously that game does discovery in a very different way than traditional games do, since it's a mobile game, an AR game. You know, you're actually getting up and moving through your environment to discover Pokemon and Pokestops and landmarks that maybe you wouldn't have seen otherwise. So I really like how Pokemon Go kind of does double duty on discovery. 1, discovering new Pokemon. 2, discovering new real-world locations. So that was kind of cool. But we also talked about how more traditional games do the aesthetic of discovery. So for example, we talked about games like open world games where you uncover parts of the map, like in Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild, are really good at discovery. We talked about Portal 1 and 2, because while they're not an open world and don't have this gigantic scale as a game, you're still discovering how the different mechanics work and how to solve puzzles. And a core part of the aesthetic of discovery is the sense of feeling like you're problem solving or making your own discoveries as you play. And so Portal is absolutely a game that's all about discovery. If you get into the lore of Portal a little bit and some of the environmental things that are happening, it also does that. In rule of thumb, you're always getting out of the giant orange circles. And he's going to jump from one to the next in the order that they appeared. Nothing much to say about this boss. He's looking at me. So as I kept moving, he kept looking towards me. I don't know what that did other than just a little bit of damage. And he's dead. One of the things I'll explain if you're not familiar with Final Fantasy XIV, they do have what's called the level sync feature. And so if I am level 70 and I queue up in the duty finder and there's a group of level 20 players that need to do the dungeon, it will bring me down to level 20. That way I'm not just one-shotting everything, and allow us to complete that. But I'm still going to get bonuses that are relevant to my level in terms of money, in terms of experience, in terms of some currencies the game has. So that's really cool. That is a female Rogadin. That is a very rare race combination, race gender combination in this game. You don't see that often. Gotta go, baby's awake. Oh man, I hope baby's ear infections are going away and they're doing better. I will talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by. On a slightly different note, I am kind of on the side of what's going on in Overwatch since it's one of the games we play out at the college, and I heard a lot of buzz that there's a new hero coming, a new tank hero coming to Overwatch, an Omnic. So if anybody has any information you can bestow upon me, any wisdom about the new character that's coming. I think there was a reveal trailer, but no gameplay mechanics they talked about. I heard something about this character possibly having multiple forms they can take, or stances they can go into. So I don't know. Seems cool. I've always been a fan of like the robot mech type characters, and so them adding another Omnic to the game is pretty cool. Because I think the last like robot Omnic they added was Echo. I think it was Echo was the most recent one. Supposed to be a bubble breaker type tank. Ooh, bubble breaker is going to be interesting. Ramatra, yeah, Ramatra. All right, this boss. What's the deal with this boss? If I remember right, you're trying to kite this boss over to an explosive and then blow him up, and then when you blow him up, he splits into smaller parts. So kind of like your very traditional D&D slime type enemy. The more we attack him, the more parts he's going to split into, just like that. And these ones, these drips, we actually want to just dodge out of the way of. This is not the drip you want. Yeah, once we get his health all the way down or pretty low, uh-oh, get out of the way, then he is going to turn into multiple smaller enemies. I need to be consistent with that debuff, which I have not been. Split, split, split. That's what I thought. Here comes the split. No? Maybe? I'm confused. Want the stuff. So just garbage is gonna fill up my inventory. Uh-oh, that was my bad. I got too close to that mob they were trying to avoid and pulled them. I think we're gonna be fine. The enemies here aren't too bad, and I can also look after myself with some healing abilities that I have. But oh, I did it again! Oh, I'm terrible. Oh, if we die here, which I don't think is gonna happen, it's absolutely my fault. Our tank's topped off, our healer's doing fine, we'll be good. But I accidentally got too close to two different mobs. Mobs would be groups of enemies. And that's me being bad DPS, right? I am not supposed to be the one that dictates how many enemies we fight, where we fight them. That's all the tank's decision. And even though I have no positional abilities, we're going to try to practice the good habit of playing behind the enemy. That way we are in the right position and we do get access to those abilities again. I played a little bit of Overwatch last night with a fellow streamer, and I did terribly. I queued as support, and I was mostly playing Ana. And it did, I mean, we did fine. It wasn't like we got horribly outclassed. We actually had two close games, but I am not the best hit scan player. I can hit my sleep darts a fair amount of the time, but the problem in quick play is that, like, I'll hit my sleep dart and then somebody will wake them up right away. So unless I'm using it to cancel an ult or something, it's kind of wasted. Oh, come on, cast the debuff. Come on, dude. Oh, wait. Oh, no. This is when we actually want to get on top of him. Did I get close enough? I did. Now, this one you want to get away from, right? And we're going to cast our ranged abilities right now. We're going to close the gap. Get another free cast. Get behind him. Get right on top of him. I thought that boss had... Is that the end of the dungeon? Yeah, it is. I do not want the loot. No, I got all the garbage. I don't want the garbage. All the garbage is now in my backpack. And I didn't get to commend anybody because they all left. Ugh. Alright. I know this is going to be blasphemous, but ready? Where's the stuff? Where's the robe? I want to find it in my armory chest. Nope. Ah, whatever. We'll do it later. I was just going to trash the stuff. That boss usually has a mechanic where there's ads that break through the walls and start adding to the fight, but I guess we killed everything fast enough that it didn't happen. It's replaying the cutscene anyway because I skipped it.
Ah, you've come.
I skipped
Welcome,
it,
friends,
but I must
to my
have
village.
queued up for the dungeon as the cutscene
My
was still
home.
ending, so it didn't progress. So I'm going to click through some of the stuff we've already heard.
How fare your people?
Good.
Actually, you know what? We're just gonna do it this way. I said I was going to skip it. I'll actually skip it. If that cutscene was hugely important, I'll go look up what was going on later. All right. Oh, you know what? There's going to be gear here for Reaper, but my class is level 70, so the gear's not going to be any good. The only reason I'd want it is if I think it looks cool, which, I mean, meh. we sitting at on time? All right, we got about 40 minutes left in the stream, and we need to spin the wheel of hats again because it went off while I was in the middle of that dungeon. So let's see. We'll go to the hats again. Goodbye, Sailor Hat. Again, that's one of my favorite ones out of this whole set. I just absolutely love that hat, especially when you're playing as a character that looks like this. So let's go to our intermission screen. Bring up the wheel. Let me figure out who the next hat spin comes from. So this one's going to be from Agent J. Smitty. Agent J. Smitty followed the channel 5 days ago. So we'll give that wheel a spin. And what did we get? CBD. This is one we haven't seen yet, okay? Again, if you can't see what it says on there, it says CBD. When I put the hat on, I think you'll understand why. Nope. Let's try again. No, which one is it? Which one is it? Oh, shoot. There it is. All right, for the next 5 minutes, we are all about hemp and hemp-based products, bro. And if you harsh my mellow, I'm kicking you out of the stream. That's right. Oh, we need to queue for another dungeon. Oh, it sounds like we might be going and doing another primal fight soon. I heard saw the word primal in chat. That'd be kind of cool. Let me see where this goes first on the map. And we gotta grab that quest as well. Where are we going? Up there. Okay. I'm gonna grab this quest if it's gonna lead to an ether current. It is. Ether currents allow you to fly in a zone, so we want that. We're going to attune to this crystal so we can teleport to it whenever we want. We're going to queue up for another leveling dungeon. And then we are going to attempt to do these quests here. Can I just jump off the cliff? Is that a thing I can do? It's usually a thing I can do. There we go. Low fall damage. Alright, let's heal. Then we will do this and this. This. Oh, try that again. Hey, look, I can actually do my abilities now. Oh, I screwed that up. I'm used to only being able to use 2 abilities. Now that I have all of them, I'm not doing it well. This class feels good when you have access to all your tools. Zoom in, cast the ranged ability, cast the debuff. Not gonna cast it again because the thing's not gonna live that long. We're gonna build up gauge so we can do Bloodstock. There it is. Bloodstock's gonna give us access to a positional ability, which we're not gonna get behind them when there's only one, but there we go. Oh, I wasn't reading what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be using the burlap sack on weakened enemies. So I just been out here murdering these things when I'm supposed to be catching them. Good job. And probably gonna have to wait for them to respawn. That's fun. Oh well. I guess what we'll do is we'll move on towards the next story quest since I, murdered those animals I was supposed to capture. And we'll come back for that one in a little bit. Now we're in the village with all these snake people. I'm gonna go talk to this one. You don't often receive guests. What's the purpose of your visit? Greetings and well met. We're the scions of the 7th Dawn, and we come seeking Sarisha of the Vera. You are she, are you not? You have petitioned us for aid and succor, and we intend to provide them, but we would first learn more of Sri Lakshmi, that we might better understand the nature of the threat she poses. Yeah, I think Lakshmi is going to be the next primal that we fight, maybe, possibly. Simple request. Beginning with Sri Lakshmi, we were created in her image, daughters blessed with her beauty. This primal's motives will have been colored by the summoner's state of mind. Hey, we gotta change our hat off again. Kalyana's conception of Sri Lakshmi may differ from that of the Vera. This is true. We regard the Lady of Bliss in different ways. So the thing about the primals is they're these giant powerful beings, and they get summoned by people, and what they're saying right now is like these two different tribes have summoned her at different times, and they view her in different ways, and so when she gets spawned in or summoned by these different tribes, she acts differently based on who summoned her. That's kind of cool. Just for the sake of the stream, I'm going to skip through this because we want to get access to the actual fight that's tied to this. And that would be it. So I'm actually going to leave the duty finder. And we are instead going to move towards getting this boss fight unlocked. So here's the cool thing, right? You guys have been seeing me do dungeons all night. Dungeons are fine. I love dungeons. They also have what are called trials. Trials is basically just a boss fight. And they're really flashy, really cool boss fights. Sometimes they're difficult, sometimes they're not. The ones that you do while you're leveling are generally pretty easy. What I used to do all the time when I was tanking was I would watch a video before I queued up to learn the fight so I could execute it properly as tank. Since I started streaming, I haven't been pausing to do that. I've just been going in blindly. We're going to do that as well as damage. So we're just going to try to learn the fight while we're there. We're going to ask some of the other players if there's mechanics we need to be aware of. And that's another great way for us to interact with the Final Fantasy community. Now, I'm going to remember that I'm weakening this thing, not killing it. And then once it's weak, I'm going to use this bag on it. Okay, is it weak enough? There we go. We're going to teleport forward. Cast that ability. This. And this. And now we should be able to catch it. Didn't work. Try again. Go. The last giant boss fight we did was against Susano. That was a really cool fight. Oh, I'm gonna kill this thing. Nope, there we go. It was a really cool fight, so I'm excited to see what the Lakshmi fight is like. The other cool thing about a lot of the primals and the bosses from Final Fantasy XIV and the Final Fantasy series in general is that they're drawn from different religions and real-world mythology. So a lot of the times you'll see creatures or bosses from existing religions and stuff. And I think Lakshmi is one of them. How do I get where I'm going? Go this way. Again, it is going to take us a little while to queue up and get into the Lakshmi fight. We are queuing as a DPS, and we're looking for one specific dungeon, or not dungeon, but fight. And so we have to be looking for a group that happens to be wanting to do this fight with the role that takes the longest to get into a dungeon. But we should still be able to get some things done. Might have to set up my buttons a little bit differently for that. That doesn't feel very natural. Okay, talk to her. This way. And the music out here is just fantastic. Has anybody in chat, without spoiling anything, has anybody dipped into the new God of War yet? Because I've heard it's absolutely fantastic. I loved God of War 2018, and I'll eventually play Ragnarok, but I've heard it is really, really good. Or are there any other upcoming games this holiday season you're excited about? We've talked a little bit about Pokemon. I just mentioned God of War. We're kind of in the middle of that like rush of games here. So anybody excited for anything else that's coming down the pipes? I'd say for me personally, God of War I am excited to play eventually. Platinum God of War on God of War difficulty. Dan, are you freaking serious? Yeah, you should be proud of it, dude. One of the things that we're talking about in Intro to Game Studies right now is the aesthetic of games as challenge. And one of the ways that that can manifest itself that we've been talking about was the sense of pride or accomplishment from playing a video game. And so we talked about people having moments where they beat a really difficult boss or platinum trophied or 100% at a game that they really thought was a good example of that. That's crazy because I played through the game on normal difficulty. And I did everything on normal difficulty except for the last Valkyrie. The last Valkyrie on normal, I never beat. So the fact that you did it on God of War difficulty is insane. And then I never did the final, what's the fire realm? Muspelheim? I don't remember, but it's like the one where you go up the giant volcano and it's got the combat challenges on the way up. I never did like the very last challenge for that one either. And then there was also the labyrinth area that I'm like, yeah, I don't care for this. So I did probably 90% of what you could do in God of War on normal difficulty. I got all the ravens and did all the map stuff, and for a while I told myself I was gonna platinum it, but then there was no way. Oh, you have to complete it to get to the Valkyrie. Oh, then I must have done it, because the only Valkyrie I didn't have was the last one. I went and fought her multiple times, and she just, yeah, Sigrun just wrecked me. I had like one fight, and it was actually like my second or third attempt, where I almost got her, and then it just went downhill from there. And then I tried to cool off and come back the next day, and it did not happen. My friend just defeated Sigrun on the hardest difficulty the other day. Again, like, beating the last Valkyrie on normal or especially God of War difficulty is something that is just absolutely insane. There's a pattern to it that took me a few weeks. That's where the parrying comes in. Yeah. How do I get to this spot I'm trying to go to? Can I go this way? Shoot. I think I need to go up this way. Dude, that's awesome. That's a huge accomplishment. While we're talking about it, anybody else have any giant gaming accomplishments you want to shout out? This is actually perfect for the class that I'm teaching right now. I'd say probably what's my biggest gaming accomplishment? I platinumed the Demon Souls remake. I was pretty proud of that. That's probably my most recent, like, big one. Probably, if we're talking like platinum trophies, probably the platinum trophy that I'm the most proud of would be the original Arkham Asylum. There are some challenge maps in Arkham Asylum that were really difficult, and I managed to platinum that game after a lot of trial and error with those challenges. Wolfenstein on I Am Death Incarnate. I played Wolfenstein, but again, I never played it on that crazy high difficulty. I was just talking in class today about how, like, and I don't know if they still do this, but I think the highest difficulty, I don't know if this is still true, I think the highest difficulty on the Call of Duty games is typically called Veteran Mode. And in old school Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 1 and 2, World at War, kind of the PS3 360 era, all that Veteran Mode meant was that the enemies were just chuck insane amounts of grenades at you that were absolute BS. But there were a couple Call of Duties where I beat those on Veteran Mode, and at the time I felt pretty proud of it, but now looking back, I'm like, that felt to me kind of like a waste. Platinuming God of War on, jeez, man. Modern Warfare had realistic. Maybe realistic's what I'm thinking of, or maybe they changed it to realistic in later games. How do we get back here? I want to fight you, giant elephant. He didn't spam grenades, that's good. I feel like we were talking about that in class today, that a lot of times when a game has like an additional difficulty, it's like an artificial layer of difficulty where it's like, oh, now enemies have twice as much health and you do half as much damage, so it's actually going to take you 4 times as long to do anything, which I'm not a fan of those. I say if you're going to add an increased difficulty level to a game, then do something like change up the mechanics of the game, or like add additional phases to bosses, or have the normal enemies behave or act differently. Change up the spawn or the type of normal enemies that appear. Stuff like that. If it's just like, oh, everything is now a damage sponge, I think that's a bunch of crap. That's stupid. Or, yeah, spongy enemies and shooters. Division was that way because Division's an MMO, just like Destiny is, so they kind of have to be bullet sponges sometimes, but I agree. When Division poses itself as a realistic looking shooter, but the boss takes like 800 bullets to die, it's kind of a bad look. Let's see, what was the one I was just going to mention? I don't remember. All right, we're getting attuned for the boss fight. There she is. So that will be the next primal that we fight, I think. I'm trying to think of other BS things games do to add difficulty that's really just not fair.
Look thee on her face, supplicant. Thy prayer hath been answered. Flesh sundered hath been made whole. Blood spilt runneth through her veins. Breath stolen filleth her breast.
Oh, the thing I was going to talk about that I hate too, is when a game has a high difficulty level, and the gimmick is that you die in one hit. And I get it, it means you have to play perfectly, making no mistakes, and some people probably really like that. I do not. And I don't shy away from challenge. I like difficult games, but the one shot and you're dead thing kind of irks me most of the time. Unless the game's designed that way from the start.
Now do you see her promises for what they are? Alize, have you gone mad?
Oh, I forgot to change my hat.
I refuse to stand by and watch yet another tragedy unfold.
No, so Hotline Miami and Katana Zero, I absolutely, I love those games. but they're built on that from the ground up, and those are more like a puzzle game, right? I'm talking like God of War. Like if I play God of War and they're like, yeah, but you die in one hit, where I can literally not make a mistake and I have in a difficult encounter. But Hotline Miami's great. Katana Zero I like even more. Now I will say I have not beat Katana Zero. That was one of the games I bought on like holiday one year, and I played through a huge chunk of it, but then I ended up slipping away from it. So I haven't seen that story all the way through.
No! We come not to shed blood, but to save you from the false god who would lead you astray.
Katana Zero's also got a dope soundtrack. So does Hotline Miami.
I do. You loved her with all your heart, but when the moment came, you still couldn't save her. The anguish, the anger, I know it only too well. But I also know where this path leads. To embrace a primal is to condemn yourself to an endless cycle of despair. You will never know peace.
The first time we've seen a character, to my knowledge, like try to plead with the enemy and get them to not like buy into the cycle of resummoning the primals over and over.
A worm-eaten heart may find peace and serenity in service, in beauty and grace.
Oh my god, it's one of my top 5 games up there with God of War, Borderlands. You put Borderlands 2 in your top 5? Like, I really like the Borderlands games. I'm curious, what puts Borderlands 2 in your top 5? Like, to me, it's a good game, and it did a lot for like the looter shooter genre, but I wouldn't put it anywhere close to my top 5 or top 10 even. And that's not crapping on the game. I think Borderlands 2 is fantastic.
You tempt them with visions of things that can never be and leave them bereft and wanting.
When I played Borderlands 2, I played oh dude, the music in Final Fantasy XIV is fantastic. Like, even if you have no interest in the game, you should go to Spotify and like play some of the soundtracks, or like look up a list of like what's the best music in Final Fantasy XIV and find like a curated one. The music in this game is absolutely incredible, even in like the throwaway parts of the game.
No illusion, however sweet, can change the fact that your daughter is gone. Remember her as she was. Do not suffer this piteous shade to tarnish her memory.
And Alice is actually making a pretty impassioned plea here that I'm only half paying attention to. I gotta change that damn hat.
For every prayer that primal answers, it'll demand payment in kind. Do you have any idea how many more Ananta will die to feed its hunger for crystals?
They would have thee suffer man's spite and live in fear. Far better to dwell in my beauteous dream than endure so ugly a reality.
We're getting close to the end of the stream, but I am going to try to queue up for this this boss fight and try to make it happen before I turn the stream off tonight. We'll see. If it seems like it's not going to happen, like we're in the queue for a long time or we're getting too close to 11, then it'll be the first thing we do on Wednesday.
I would spare you the torments of this cruel and misshapen world. Come bask in my radiance.
Is this plea going to work? I mean, we're going to have to fight this primal no matter what. But are we going to be fighting it because we've convinced the enemies that, or these people, that it's the right thing to do? Or are we going to be fighting them because they embrace her? Instead of ditching characters in the story that sucked in the first game, they brought them back and built on it by connecting the stories together from the first and second. I actually never really hated... Yeah, oh, Handsome Jack was a fantastic villain. And you're right, the storylines connecting from 1 to 2 was pretty good. I don't remember the character names very well, but the, like Roland, I remember him reappearing. I remember Brick reappearing. The Siren chick, I don't remember what her name was, but she plays a huge part in the Borderlands 2 story. And I thought that was cool, right? Because you played as those characters in the first game, and they didn't really have a lot. They were kind of silent protagonists, and then to see them play pivotal roles in Borderlands 2 was kind of cool. I might have already said this, but when I played Borderlands 2, I played as the Gunzerker.
Leave these lands among...
And then in Borderlands 1, I played as Brick. And then I actually haven't played Borderlands 3 yet. I did play the pre-sequel, and I actually thought pre-sequel was kind of crap. And I did play Tales from the Borderlands, the original one. Tales from the Borderlands was fantastic. And then I didn't even know, like, because Telltale shut down, right? I didn't even know that there was another Tales from the Borderlands game that's coming out. Or that came out, but it came out. I've heard it's decent. And I want to play it because there's actually a band that I like. They're called Twerp, TWRP. And they actually have a music track that's in Tales from the Borderlands, the new one. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my god, now I have to go play this game. More of a fan of having a turret since I can never find... Yeah. So you probably played as Roland and then... oh god, I can't remember the guy in Borderlands 2, but I can picture him. Telltale's making a comeback. They're bringing back Wolf Among Us? No way. Wolf Among Us was incredible. Wolf Among Us was one of the first... Axton. Yep. I was gonna say Clayton, but Axton, you're right. Dude, Wolf Among Us was awesome. And it makes me want to go back and actually like read the comics of that, which I've never taken a look at. But Wolf Among Us was awesome. Wolf Among Us was a game that I had played through it, and then after Laura and I started dating, I was like, hey, I have a video game that you have to play. They released a teaser. I'm gonna have to watch that. Oh, never mind. They released a 2-minute trailer recently. Dude, that would be a great game. If you stream that, I'd hang out in the chat and see what you did. I'd hang out and watch and see the choices that you make. Wolf Among Us was so good. But that was a game that I made Laura play through, and it was cool because I didn't influence her choices at all. I let her play through it entirely differently than how I did. And so her game, I mean, they don't end wildly differently, but she did have a different ending and made some different choices than I did. And so that was cool to see. And then when we played Tales from the Borderlands, you know, that one has two primary antagonists, Reese and I can't remember the woman's name. But anyway, Laura and I kept handing off the controller. So like when it was time to play as Reese, I would play, and when it was time to play as the other one, she would play. And so we kind of went through the story in a joint way together. Yeah, that is a huge criticism that I have of the Telltale games as well. You know what? I'm going to queue up for the dungeon while we're doing this. There's no point in us just talking if I'm not actually waiting for it. Hold on a second. We need to clear out leveling. Emanation. Join. 7 minutes. We'll see about that. Because it is currently 10:48. But I can agree with that, Dan. And that was something that somebody mentioned in class when we did games as narrative, was they mentioned Telltale. And we were like, yeah, those are really cool. They make you make some really difficult things, do some really difficult actions without getting into spoilers. There were people that were talking about the Walking Dead Telltale series, specifically the first game. And there's some really grim things that you have to do, and it was so brutal. But then, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, because they're trying to tell a complete story, they all kind of like have those choices kind of funnel all back to the same point. And I would really love for a game, and I didn't realize how resource intensive and how difficult this would be, but if they would actually come to a wildly different game, but then that sets them up, or a wildly different ending, I mean, but then that sets them up for some challenges too, because of like, well, if we're going to do a sequel, which ending do we go with, right? Which one was the canonical ending? And they could go like, oh, well, let's try to build a game that reads your data from the previous one and lets those choices matter and carry over. But again, that's a ton of resources and development time and man hours to something that like players may never see because they chose a different path. And I wish that developers had the ability to... We could. That's a good idea. I'll pull it up in a browser window. But I wish that they would just devote the time to it. But so many developers are afraid of like, no, players have to see every inch of my game from top to bottom. So before we do the trailer, let me spin the wheel one more time. Let's bring up the wheel hats again. Spin it one more time. Now this spin comes to us courtesy of Ali VB. Ali followed the channel 5 days ago. Kupo. We've had this one before. So let me go right here for just a second. I'm gonna go over here. We are going to cast a glamour on the hat. There it is. That one's easy to find. So here's our Kupo knit cap. And then while we're waiting for the dungeon to pop, I will see if I can get a browser window open. And actually, let me do it this way. Go to YouTube. Is my channel gonna get, I've never done this before, is my channel gonna get in trouble if I'm like streaming somebody else's content like a trailer? I mean, I know other people have done that, but the games for sure are replayable. I know I went back through Wolf Among Us and tried different options. I'll be fine. Okay. If you say so, Dan. Wolf Among Us 2 trailer. Unless it's me. Well, here's the thing though, right? Wolf Among Us and Telltale games in general, they use a lot of licensed music in their stuff. But we'll try it. We'll give it a shot. Oh, they announced Wolf Among Us 2 back at the Game Awards 2019. Yeah, they just released this trailer in February. Okay. I can't believe I slept through this. Yeah, okay. I'll play it. Let me get it up here and ready. And I need to make sure that it's actually going to show. There it is. And hopefully the audio comes through. I guess I don't know why it wouldn't. Let me play the first couple of minutes from this full trailer that came out. Let me know if you guys cannot hear the audio.
You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of work entail?
Did you guys hear that voice line? We can hear? Perfect. All right, here we go.
Depends on the night. Most nights it's watching, waiting for a slip-up. I don't know,
Bigby's voice
someone
actor
gets
came
greedy,
back, I
someone
think.
gets
That's good.
brave.
And that's what you were doing the night of the incident.
Yeah. Took me weeks to track them down. They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with us.
Who's he talking to?
I assume it has something to do with confidentiality associated with the job.
Something like that.
Your boss, Miss White, said things didn't go as planned. She mentioned that there was some violence?
Oh my god. Is that like Scarecrow, Tin Man, Dorothy?
Losing control. How does the anger manifest itself?
Yeah, this game does look a lot better. I wonder if Telltale finally migrated to a new engine. Because one of the biggest things that was holding Telltale back was the engine they were using. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be so good. Oh, they used the new season for the last... Okay. Because again, that was one of the, I mean, when Telltale folded, one of the biggest problems they had, I mean, among other things, was that they were using the same engine from like maybe even before Walking Dead 1 all the way through, like all the way through. And it was just aging really, really poorly and stuttering and not performing well. And so if they did that, then that's really good. Man, I didn't know about that. Lore is going to be hyped. So did somebody like buy and reopen Telltale? I missed that whole thing because Telltale closed or folded in like 2018, I think, or 2019 maybe even 2017. But I know that like when they closed, they were in the middle of finishing, I think it was season 3 of The Walking Dead, and that they got that, like they got some help getting that done, but they get bought out and reopened by somebody. I can't believe I didn't know that. I even played a lot of the Telltale games that that people didn't care for. Like I used to be. So they have full control of any. That's cool. So that means, does that mean that Tales from the Borderlands that just came out, the sequel, was actually a Telltale game as well? Oh man, that means, oh, that's another game we're gonna have to play then. Dang it. Dang it. Okay, now I really have to play that. But I even played a lot of the Telltale games that like weren't generally super well received. Like I played the those characters come back and I played through like the Game of Thrones one because I was such a big Game of Thrones fan before that stupid show ended. And we won't get into that here, but I was a huge fan. I have not seen any House of the Dragon yet, but I was a huge fan of Game of Thrones, so I played that one. I didn't think that one was very good. And then I got yeah, I mean it was all right. I like that you played as like a minor house. You played as House Forrester, and you kind of got to see some of the bigger events unfold. So it had its moments. See, I had the Batman one, and then that was one of those games that ended up sitting on the shelf that never got played. Same thing with there was a Guardians of the Galaxy one that I think the same thing happened to. Yeah, I tried getting into the Batman one. I booted it up once and I played through episode 1 and it didn't grab me. Now that, to be fair, a lot of the Telltale games, episode 1's not the best example. A lot of the times you got to get to episode 2 or 3. Hey, and there's the dungeon. All right, we got to focus on the game. I'm not going to be the reason that this party collapses or dies. So remember, the big tips from this is that you generally want to be behind the boss, trying to avoid the orange circles. You're looking for other mechanics that you might have to do. They did saturate their own market. Yeah, they did. They oversaturated it. There were way too many games they were working on at once. And because it was way too many games that they were working on at once and they were episodic format, it was just like every like 8 to 12 weeks there was something Telltale dropping and it just became too much. All right. I am probably going to ignore chat while I focus on the fight here, and then we'll wrap things up after that. Listen to this music. Yeah. What is that? Use the etheric residue lingering on your body to temporarily disguise yourself as one of Lakshmi's dreamers. Well, there's already a mechanic that I get orbs. Okay, get orbs. Get orbs. I got orbs. Orbs heal you? No, orbs don't heal you. What do you mean get orbs? They can't attack the orbs. Dorman, if you're still in here, guide me through the boss fight. Okay, I'm gonna watch what my team's doing. Okay, we're fighting the boss. We're gonna melee DPS. We're gonna get behind him. We're gonna cast and then recast the buff. We're gonna get the hell out of the move. That move. Oh no! You can fall off the platform. Oh, it's one of those fights. I was trying to move away from the attack that was coming in, but it was centered around one of my teammates. And I just walked right off the platform. Okay, I'm getting rezzed. Oh, that's embarrassing. Save the thing for the big inescapable AoE. Oh, so if you're disguised as one of her followers, her attacks don't hit you. Alright. We're gonna cast Second Winds. We're gonna cast Bloodbath. We don't need the healer. Focus on getting us back up to par. Okay. We're gonna stay out of the AoE of that flower. Did I get level synced? I did. I can't use... Okay. Get orbs. Again, I don't know what that means.
Weary souls in my bosom.
Watching my team to see what they do. I didn't get an orb. Okay, okay. What is going on? So because we were disguised as a follower, we didn't get owned by that attack.
I shall free you from your hate.
Now I go back to beating her up. Recast my buffs. 1, there's 2. We want to get behind the boss. Okay, watch what the team's doing. Get an orb. Oh my god. I think I needed to grab an orb and then use it right away so that I didn't get knocked off the platform. See, like, some of these are like face rolls where like you can do it and you don't have to worry about it. Others, it's like, oh yeah, you probably should have researched this fight before you fought, buddy.
Do not your souls weigh heavy?
I got revived again. Okay, this is what screwed me last time. I just want to stay out of these, but if my teammates move around, it's going to influence that ability's damage. Perfect. Okay, there's another one coming in. I'm going to stay here. Now we're going to go in. We're going to use this. Okay. Now, the next time she does a giant AoE ability, like this one, you're going to pop this. That way, when it goes off, it's not going to knock me off the stage. Yeah! Alluring arm. Not sure how this one works. If you don't have one, run over a blue ball to refill. Yep, I got one. Okay, this one's on me. I don't want to screw my team, so I'm going to try to stop from moving. Giving them spaces to... Okay, I blocked the thing. I don't know if I needed to block that thing, but I did. Because there's no way I was getting out of that attack. And if I stand in an angle like I did, then my teammates can actually get around it.
I shall free you from your hate.
Okay, alright, we need more blue balls to spawn, because I don't have one right now. Okay. Whoops, I used the wrong ability. It's fine. I don't like that. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Behind the boss. Okay, get one of these. Got one. Okay, she's gonna do the wide thing again, so we're gonna go like this. Oh, okay, I wondered that. When you get the orb on, you can't attack her because then it will make the orb go away. So I almost screwed myself there. I think we're gonna end up being fine. We have one DPS who's dead. Everybody else is alive. I think we need to avoid both that move and this move, and we'll do our ranged attack while we're waiting. Actually, we can get in melee range. We may open on Wednesday by queuing for this fight again now that I actually understand how it works. Somebody else just died. Okay, next time orbs spawn, I need to get one. I don't like that. I don't like that. Quit moving. Oh, there's an orb. Get it. Got it. Okay. One of those is on me. So I'm gonna go like this. And I'm gonna go like this. Boom. Again, I'm assuming I need to use that ability on that, because it looked like that would have hurt, but that might be overkill. I might not need to do that. Rip part 2. Yeah. You're right. But look, ever since we learned how to do it, just took us getting smacked around a little bit to figure out, like, oh, here's how the fight works. Now we're doing all right. Unless they do anything crazy right here at the end. Far, so good. Another one of those on me, and I don't have an orb, so we're gonna see how this goes. That actually wasn't too bad, so I didn't need to be wasting my orbs on that. I did pop a shield right before it hit me, my own shield, but I don't think I would have been in any danger had I let it hit me. That, on the other hand, hurt. She's gonna try knocking us off the stage again right before she dies. Come on. Let's try to DPS her down. There we go. Alright, and that'll be a good way to end the stream, so we'll wind things down in just a second. Another thing that I wanted to bring up while I am thinking about it is that we're not that far away, especially with how many viewers we had tonight. We're not that far away from me getting affiliate status on Twitch, which means I can get custom emotes. So if anybody has some artistic skills or ideas for good emotes for my channel, let me know, and I'll gladly either put you to work in making some, or if you have any ideas that somebody else would need to make, shout them out and we'll start getting those compiled together. Once I hit affiliate, I want to do the thing where people can earn channel points and use that for sound clips and emotes and that kind of fun stuff.
It looks like the Inanta did have a mountain of crystals after all. Every other tribe. Gods were all such slaves to our weaknesses.
Gambling time.
You slew our mistress! She was our hope, our salvation! Is there no end to your cruelty?
Man.
Listen to me, please. I know that you're only trying to protect yourselves because you feel frightened and alone. But that's how we all feel. Don't you see? If we could just turn to each other for help instead of the gods, I'm sure we could find a way to live in peace. Your crystals are important to you, aren't they? Reflections of your souls, right? Well, you shouldn't have to sacrifice something so precious to a primal.
Who are you to question our choice? You who fight without fear? We wish only to live in peace. And if this be the price we must pay...
When the stream's
then
over, I'm going to
so
send you
it.
guys to raid somebody. I think I figured out how to do it properly this time. So I'm going to send you guys to raid somebody. Maybe keep them on as you're going to bed.
But I
Or
hope
doing
that one
homework
day
or
you look
gaming
back
or
and
whatever
see
you're doing.
We only ever wanted the same thing.
Really trying to spread the love to other people that are streaming. I've noticed some of you guys have been streaming lately, so I've been trying to catch your streams or follow you guys
Your hollow words
as well.
and leave me to mourn.
I'll go. But it doesn't mean I'm giving up. Girabania is our home too. And one way or another, we're going to have to learn to live together. Come on. Alphino and Alize are waiting.
Came in and wrecked your false god. Deal with it. Oh, the cutscene's not over yet. Strap in. You're the bad guys again. And we will be wrapping up the stream as soon as this cutscene ends when we reach a nice stopping point. I have a couple of things to mention at the end, and then I will send you off to raid another channel.
Between her legs, beaten by beastmen, I hear.
It was a shameful display, by all accounts. She may have curried the Viceroy's favor with her bold promises, but in the end, she's just another plodding bungler like the rest of her kind.
Strange. You would think him a better judge of character.
She just got promoted by the Empire guy and said, "Oh, I won't fail you," and then we totally beat the crap out of her, so she failed.
I thought she rose through the ranks rather quickly, but no longer. If only she had been content with her lot, she might have lived to see the morrow.
And there, are we going to see her? No, we're going to see her interaction with the big bad. Yep. Xenos.
Fadola Rem Lupus. Commander of the Crania Lupi, reporting as ordered.
Why do you tremble, sir? Could it be that the Empire's butcher is afraid? That she who walks with death is terrified of her own?
This guy's such a tool, and I really hope we get to kill him.
Gladly would I give my life to win a great victory on the battlefield, had I but the strength.
Alas, you do not. Indeed, you are weak. And born of this weakness is a blind fervor, a raging inferno which threatens to consume not only you, but everyone around you.
Yes, my lord.
You were defeated by the Resistance on several occasions. You misjudged the Ananta and spurred them into summoning an icon. Have you anything to say?
I do not, my lord. My failures are my own. I am prepared to accept your judgment.
And that is very admirable. However, I've had enough of this dumb show. Give voice to that hunger I see in your eyes, or I will pluck them from your head.
I want... I want to make them pay! All of them! Everyone who ever mocked or looked down on me! I want the power to make them pay!
The voice acting in this game is also spot on most of the time.
Very well. Then I shall give you a chance. A chance to transcend your mortal limits. Assuming, that is, you are prepared to wager your life for such power.
Yeah, very much so.
Transcend, my lord. I came here prepared to die. Tell me what I must do.
The interesting backstory with her, she's of the same race as the people that are natural, that kind of live in this part of the world. But she was mistreated by her own people and has sided with the bad guys. So all these people she's saying I want them to pay, they're her own countrymen that she felt mistreated by. So she's not a Garlean. The Garleans have these dots on their heads. They're the bad guys. She's not one of them. She's working with them anyway. Is that like Dr. Frankenstein? Is he gonna mess with her? Okay. Talk to her to finish off the cutscene or the quest. Squat. Still think. Actually, they will, because I had tanking earrings on. I forgot the armor set you get for Reaper doesn't give you that thing there. So then we're going to here. All right. Are we in an area where we're resting? We are not. How far are we from an area where we're resting? Close. We'll need to turn this quest in. So we're gonna go back to here. We are going to turn in the quest that I still have in my inventory. Then we are going to wind down for the evening. Now, before we do, there's a couple of things that I wanted to do. All right, so we are good to go there. I am going to hide my headgear. We'll keep spinning the wheel of hats. Probably one more stream. We won't do it for every stream, but there's a couple of hats that haven't popped up yet, even in all the spins that we've had. There's a couple of those followers from that original goal of 50 that need to make their way through. When we come back on Wednesday, again, I think we're gonna run through that boss fight one more time now that I understand the mechanics a little bit better, and hopefully can get through it without dying. So we'll queue up for that while we're going through the story. And then what I want to try to do before I close things out is I want to try to properly send you guys off to raid another channel. Again, I've been really trying to follow other small streamers, shout out what other people are doing, try to spread that love around, especially for other streamers that have come and supported my channel. And so I'm going to see if any of my people that I'm following are live right now. And if they are, I'm going to try to use the stream dashboard to send you their way. So let me flip over. And, you know, again, I'll say this last time, it depends on who I end up sending you to, but if they end up being like somebody who you're like, oh yeah, like maybe you shouldn't follow them or watch their stuff because they say some things on their stream that I'm not super into, then, I mean, that's fine, let me know. Let's see, I have quite a few people. Do I have one?
Besides some of this, you know, electricity, look at how many things I'm powering right now.
Guys, I'm gonna send you to go watch a VTuber. Yeah. So there's been a guy that's been streaming for a couple days now. He's doing a subathon. He has been live now. I mean, there's people that are rotating through. but they've been playing different games. They've been at 154 hours of live play. Now again, they've gotten sleep or something in there somehow, but they're doing a subathon. They're on day 8. It's their 2-year anniversary on Twitch. They're up to 3,000 followers, but they currently have 20 people that are watching them live. So I'm going to send you to watch them. I think he was playing Tarkov earlier. I'm going to let the ad play. And then we'll see here. So give me just a second here. Oh, they're not playing Tarkov anymore. I have no idea what this game is. Maybe some of you do. It doesn't say on the thing at the bottom because it says that they're doing a special event.
Crap, there's so many PNGs. Yeah, there's a bunch of people in this game.
It's some sort of community game they're playing with other people. Looks kind of low tech. But let me see if I can raid and send you guys their way.
Are you gatekeeping murder?
Raid channel.
Yes.
Nightmare Nexus.
It is now.
Start raid.
Good morning.
Wait, sheep, look down.
You were unable to raid them at this time. Okay. Let me try somebody else then. Man, I don't know why this keeps happening. Let me try a different one then. There's another guy. I believe this person is an Australian League of Legends player. And they are climbing their way up to Masters. So they currently have about 90 viewers. They have a bunch of followers though. Is there anybody that I can send to that's tiny? Hold on, I may have one more.
That nigga's spamming the shit out that controller.
I really don't have anybody else that I... Alright, give me a second. Give me a second. I'll try to find somebody else. I had trouble with this last time too. Maybe, if any of you... I know some of you guys have streamed before. If any of you guys know why I'm having trouble sending people to raids, let me know. Because I know that somebody like Nexus, I watched him get raided the other day. So he may have some settings on his where I can't do it, but there should be a way for me to send people to raid, unless I can't do it because I'm not affiliate yet. Do you have to be affiliate to send people out on raids? I don't know. I'll try one more channel here. Let's see. Why don't we, let's see, what kind of fun game could we go with? Ooh, Stardew Valley. I'm going to send you guys for a chill late night Stardew Valley stream if I can.
It's hard. You tried it. It was fun to watch. I don't know about that, but it was hard.
All right, I have no idea who this streamer is. I just clicked on her stream. She is playing Stardew. Looks like she has about 600 followers and 20 people currently watching. I'm going to attempt to have you raid her channel. I can't do that either. Man, I don't know what's going up with the raid thing. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to send you, I'll do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to drop a link to Nightmare's channel. That way you guys can go. Actually, you know what? Screw it. No, I'm going to send you this person's channel. They're a much smaller channel. They're playing some chill Stardew Valley, something that'd be great to go to sleep. Time to I guess so. I'm just going to have to look more into it. So I'm going to put the link in my chat to this person's stream. And I will kind of flip over to my end screen here. And I will send you on your way to go watch MalzyB play some Stardew Valley. So go ahead, hop over there. Maybe throw her a follow before you go to bed. Put her on in the background. That's the game that's really super chill and easy to fall asleep to. Stardew Valley is just a great time. So thank you guys. This is the most successful stream we've ever had. I think we peaked at like 12 or 13 viewers, which was awesome. And those views stayed. We had over 10 for most of the stream. I'm really excited to look at the data and see how in the next day or so, how this pulls up my average viewer count. So thank you guys so much. I will be back on Wednesday to do some more Final Fantasy streaming. So thank you so very, very, very much. Have a good night. Thanks for being here, C-Zone. Thank you for being here. All the MCC esports people and anybody else that was in here. I truly, truly appreciate you. Take care of each other. I'll see you later.